All right, once you have your clay and all of your supplies, then you will roll out your slab. When you're rolling any slab, it's best if you stand up. Okay, it's just a lot easier to roll. You do need a canvas board. You can't roll it on the table. If you roll it on the table, it will stick. All right, so I'm just gonna roll here, and then every once in a while I will pick it up and I will turn it and flip it. And what that does is it helps keep it square. You want this to be about as thick as your thumb. So if I hold my thumb against it, it should be about the same thickness. Okay, and that's a pretty good thickness right there. Once it's rolled out, you need to compress it. Okay, when you compress the clay, what you're doing is you're just taking the clay and you're pushing it together so that it sort of like sticks together better. And when you pick it up, it's less likely to rip. Okay. It's not super important for bases of pots, but when we start building with slabs, it's going to be important. So we're just going to sort of get in the habit of doing that. Okay, so you'll need some water, and the bowls in the water are at the sink. You'll just put some water on your slab, and then you need a kidney tool. The kidney tool has a flat side here, right? So you'll take the flat side and you will scrape it. At this point, you might see air bubbles. I don't see, oh, there's one right there. So you might see a little bubble pop up. If you see that, you'll just need to pop it with your needle tool. Okay, and you will do both sides. And if you have extra clay, put that right there. And scrape that. Okay, once it's compressed on both sides, you're going to cut out your shape. If you want to make a circle, I would just find something in the room that is the size you want and trace it. If you're not going to make a circle, if you want to make just an organic shape, then just draw it on there. If you want to make something with hard edges like a square or a triangle, we do have clay rulers in that drawer that says clay rulers over there. They're just rulers that have clay on them. They're not actually made out of clay. Okay, but you can use those if you want to measure something out. Okay, let's say I just want to make an organic shape. So I'm going to take my needle tool and I'm going to make a shape. All right. At this point, I can take this extra clay out. And now I can get rid of my canvas board. These are kind of bulky. They take up a lot of space. So you can actually put that back. And that's where this comes in. So you need a board and a wheel. And you can start building this way. Now, another reason why we took the canvas board away is because you can't roll coils on it. Canvas is like that plaster on the wedging table. It will soak up the moisture. Do you guys remember when you made coils and they got dry and then you got so frustrated? Okay, so we don't want to make you frustrated. We want to do what we can to keep the coils from doing that. So you want to roll coils on the table. Okay, so with this extra clay, I'm going to just do like a little reminder of coils so you can remember. Take some of your clay, try to get it as small as you can in your hands before you start rolling. Okay, once you get it, then you can start rolling. Do you roll with your palms or your fingers? Palms, okay. You kind of just find the thicker spots and you start rolling. We call it rolling coils. It's more like rocking coils because you're not like going crazy rolling. You're just rocking them back and forth. You don't want to push too hard. If you find a flat spot, that means you're probably pushing too hard or you're rolling too fast. So you do want to roll all the way around, but you don't want to like sit here and go crazy because that's when you really start messing up. Okay, so if I'm rolling this coil out, okay, I'm going to take this, I might roll this a little bit smaller, and now I'm going to add it to my coil pot. What do I need to do before I can stick it on there? I need to score it. So I'm going to score with my needle tool. Okay, make sure your score marks are good. Don't do little perfect X's like that. I know that's pretty, but that's not what we want. It needs to look ugly before it can look pretty. Okay, so really make those score marks good, and then you can place that on your base. Okay, you can make any shapes that you want to, but I do want to show you you can see the score marks in between the base and the coil pot. Okay, do you see that? When you made your enter pot, all you did was smooth it, so it didn't really matter. But since you're not smoothing the outside, you have to sort of be careful. So when you're scoring, keep that in mind. Okay, so we have slip. Whether or not you use slip is kind of, it's all about consistency, and you guys will get the hang of that as you work with clay. But for now, I would suggest just slipping and scoring everything, except for your coils that you're laying flat here. Okay, the reason why we don't really need to slip these, you do have to score everything for sure. You don't have to slip these because gravity is going to hold them together. Okay, but if you are going to take a coil and make a spiral with it, you will want to add slip. So if you're going to slip and score this, if you're going to add this to your coil pot, you'll score it, score where you want it to go, and then you will need to add slip. Anything you make separate while you're doing this project, you will add slip to. And the reason why you do that is because it's going to stand alone for a while. Okay, it's not really going to be steady until you add things around it. So it's going to dry out a little bit faster. And until you get something on top of it, gravity's not going to help it. Okay, so since you're going to be building around this and you're adding later, we just want to add some slip just to make sure it's going to stay on. Okay, if you have questions about what to slip and what not to, ask me. If you're unsure, just add slip. Okay, the reason why we don't really want a lot of slip because then you're going to have to clean a lot up. But if you're adding something separate, you need to do that. All right, while you are working, you will want to smooth out the inside as you go. Okay, if you are smoothing out the inside the same day that you add the coil, you can just stick it on here, smooth it out. Okay, so I'm just holding, I'm going to put my hand on the outside because I don't want it to collapse. I'm just going to push down and smooth the inside out. So when you look at the inside of your coil pot, it's going to be smooth, but the outside is going to have your coil designs on it. Okay,